Sean.
Hi, Murray. How are you?
Right. I'll only be here in a second. Afternoon, Alvin.
Hi. How you doing?
Fine.
Hi, Alvin.
Great, guys. Who are we waiting for? Rose.
Rose. Jevons.
Okay, it's almost through.
Hi, Jevon.
Hi, Sean. Hi, Alvin.
All right,
And Rose and Ronald we're waiting for.
I'm just going to start my intro, guys.
Hi, Jevon.
All right, welcome to the East Africa Proptech overview. We're pleased to round off today's sessions with this key discussion. Moderating the session is Sean Godoy, co-founder of Proptech Africa. Ronald Kawisi is joining as a panelist, Alvin Acholi, and Rose Barasa. Thank you, Sean.
Great.
Take it from here.
Thanks very much, Murray. Great to be here on this platform. It's a great experience, and I think the conference seems to have gone really well today. So it's been great, as it's my first time as well of being involved in something like this. So quite exciting to see what's possible with technology. Obviously, we're getting used to a lot of new ways of doing things, which is leading to a lot of interesting innovation. So just from that side, I think it's been a great experience. So just to introduce myself, as Murray said, Sean Godoy. I'm co-founder of Proptech Africa and also SA Proptech, based in Johannesburg in South Africa. And I'm Director of Diversity Property Solutions. So very interested in Proptech, obviously, and across the continent. Been quite interested in unpacking activity and the sort of general lay of the land for Proptech in the southern, eastern, and western regions. I'm very interested particularly in East Africa, and I recently completed a report with the Urban Real Estate Research Unit at UCT this year, looking at Proptech activity in the general ecosystem in 3 countries that we chose as a sample, which were Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. So I'll just open up with a few key points. That's the insight that we gained from that research. So on the top level, real estate markets themselves are at varying stages of maturity in East Africa.
Rose, please. Sorry,
guys, we're getting a bit of crossover there. Sorry about that. Sorry, I think we're in the clear now. So sorry, just to carry on. So real estate markets themselves are at various stages of maturity, and some of the fundamentals are still developing in these markets on the back of growing economies. So obviously Proptech then is generally in its early stages of development, although general tech ecosystems are really strong in the region, and provide a good foundation for future Proptech activity. You may have heard of terms such as Silicon Savannah or Silicon Dar in Tanzania. So we have some really promising ecosystems of tech innovation. Obviously, Kenya being the land of M-Pesa, which is always a key example that stands up for me. Overall, just a summary of the report, we found 51 companies that were delivering some type of Proptech service or product, and then 49 co-working spaces. So this was across Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. Kenya was leading with Proptech companies at 35, Tanzania at 8, and Uganda also at 8. So obviously, on the back of a larger economy, Kenya is leading in Proptech activity, but there was some really promising activity in Uganda and Tanzania, which we'll also delve into on the session. In my experience and sort of the research I've done, models that address a specific local challenge are usually more successful, and also those that identify these opportunities. So it really is a diverse and dynamic region. And even if Proptech activity is in its early stages of development, there's some real promise in this region, and especially in terms of examples of past innovation and tech we've seen in the region. And in my view, I think it really is a leading hub of innovation in many ways. So I think definitely some exciting things to come. Just to start us off, I wanted to ask our panelists. We've got a fantastic group of panelists today from varying backgrounds, and I'm sure we're going to have a great conversation. So if I could just ask you each just to do a very brief intro so that our viewers can understand who you are and where you come from. So perhaps we can start with Rose, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Rose Fina Barasa, and I am a project coordinator at Strathmore University under the Industrial Relations Unit. I'm also an emerging technologist enthusiast who works on various developments in IoT, AI, and VR and augmented reality. Thank you.
Excellent, Rose. Great to have you on board. I've had a look at Strathmore and the programs they offer, and some of the ICT programs and research innovation hubs are really exciting. So I'm sure that's quite a shining beacon of innovation in the region, which is fantastic. Thank you. Ronald, if you'd like to introduce yourself next, please.
Yes, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. Loud and clear.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I'm Ronald Kawesi, and I'm project and team lead at Proptech Uganda. I am also the country regional chair for Fibri, and I also have a valid interest in built environment innovations and technologies.
Fantastic.
My background is originally real estate valuation.
Excellent. No, great to have you on board. Yeah, there's always a mixture when you come to the Proptech community. There's people either tend to have a technology background or a real estate background. So I think a combination of those in teams is good. But yes, great to have you on board, Ronald, and representing Uganda. You guys are doing some fantastic work. Next, Jevon, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, please.
Yes. Thank you. You can hear me, right?
Yes, loud and clear, no problem.
Okay. So I'm Jevon Sotieno. I'm the founder of Proptech Kenya, and also have a background in real estate valuation. I'm a Proptech enthusiast. I've been innovating in the Proptech scene for about right now like 2-3 years, and that's where we found the gap that is there between the property side and the tech side, and that's why we decided to form the Proptech Kenya so that we can bridge the gap. And yeah, I'm an innovator, Proptech enthusiast, and yeah, that's all.
Excellent. Thank you, Jevon. Great to have you on board. You also, Proptech Kenya is doing some fantastic work in that country as well and flying the flag. So it's great to see these associations coming about and just raising awareness and connecting the communities because it really goes a long way to, I think, giving the sector a much needed sort of step up, which is great. Lastly, Alvin, if you wouldn't mind giving us a brief introduction, please.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. My name is Alvin Ocholi. I'm the managing Tempest Gold, that is Kenya. And Tempest Gold is a company, a business that is originating from Botswana, Gaborone, and we have set up operations in Nairobi. And I'm an enthusiast for mobile application development, that is market solutions, and also facilities management solutions, that is software development.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alvin. Great to have your insight from actual Proptech activity on the ground. And yeah, fantastic to see Tempest obviously spreading and opening new offices on the continent, which is great. So yeah, thank you to all the panelists for being here and making yourselves available and for your introductions. I think it's a really great widespread of experience and exposure, which will lead to a great conversation. So we're going to jump straight into it. So I have questions I'll put to the panel, and we'll also be taking questions from the viewers, and you can use the chat box on the right of your screen to put those forward. We obviously have a limited time, so we'll try to get to as many of your queries as possible. So I'll ask a few, and then we'll jump into some of your questions. So yeah, please feel free to go ahead and put those on the box. So to start us off, I think just as a sort of opening point, I have a question here that I think if all the panelists, if you wouldn't mind answering this in a brief way, but your input would be great. So Basically, what I wanted to ask you all is, do you think that the East African real estate sector is ready for meaningful innovation in a general sense? And linked to that, what are the challenges you see to the adoption of innovative strategies and products by the real estate sector itself? So by sort of individual professionals, perhaps governments and actual companies themselves. So perhaps Rose, if you'd like to start us off, and just let me know if you need me to repeat the question.
Okay, I think I got you loud and clear.
Great.
I hope you can still.
Perfect, yes.
So I feel that the real estate, especially the technology sector, is being slowly redefined by ever-changing market conditions and the shifts in consumer behaviors. So we see that real estate agents will not only be replaced by technology, but by agents with technology. And the real estate industry will also be replaced by not just a single technological solution, but the changes in the industry will be enabled by technology. And so we have to get leaders who can embrace this, because considering we're in the thick of the fourth industrial revolution and an era where automations and digital processes, which are powered by blockchain, AI, it makes sense that the way we lease, rent, and buy and occupy property follows suit.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Rose. I think there's some very valid points. There's a lot of sort of innovations happen across the value chain, and it can really open up opportunities. And I like the point you said about technology. In some instances, it does cut out the middleman, so puts consumers and businesses directly in contact with each other, like with the home buying process. But like you said, technology offers a different alternative, but at the same time, you're going to see agents and brokers with technology. So it enables them to deliver their service in a more efficient, cost-effective way. And like you said, with changing consumer behavior, it's important to be aware of that and think about how your consumers would like to do things. So thank you very much. Ronald, if fantastic. Or just before the next question, Alvin, your screen is quite dark, so I'm not sure if you're able to brighten your screen, perhaps. But yeah, if you could maybe just have a look at that. But let's move on. Ronald, if you'd like to give your views on that question, please.
Yes, thank you very much. My perspective in this, in general, it is the real estate sector is really it's ready for innovations, especially in East Africa. You see that we have our own contemporary challenges as a region in East Africa. This has to do things ranging from land governance, land management, and land tenure. Those are particularly for Africa and East Africa in general. So this, we still see avenues of opportunities for innovation in this area. And then also, East Africa is not isolated. We see global challenges also coming into play. For example, the climate change. It's affecting real estate as in the whole globe. So for me, I see the opportunities are there, and real estate is ready for these innovations in the region.
Fantastic, thank you, Ronald. You make a key comment on obviously land administration and tenure. I think this is a place where technology has a lot of room to improve processes, and at the same time, there's, like you said, global challenges that are relevant, like climate change, and there will often be resistance to different changes in industries as well. So there are a lot of common threads, but obviously specific ones that you need to be aware of, I think, when looking at Proptech. So thanks very much. Jevon, if you'd like to jump in now.
Yeah, sure. So, well, I think the real estate sector is ready for Proptech innovation. Yeah, we are ready. But then there are two factors that come into my mind when we are talking about readiness of the industry in terms of adoption of technology. And that's first the human factor and the infrastructure. Human factor, I mean, is that we need to have a shift in our mindset from the conservative nature that we have always been having about that has actually hindered us from adopting these technologies. We are seeing technology as we need to see it as a collaborator or facilitator, as opposed to something that will come and eliminate us completely. Because when we adopt this technology, it will actually make our work much more easier and be able to solve the pain points that we are actually been having. And the other thing is infrastructure. If I want to, if maybe I can give an example of blockchain. You cannot adopt blockchain if the registry hasn't been digitized. You see that there's need for an infrastructure set so that it can create a ecosystem where PropTech can thrive and achieve the full and maximum potential. And also we have asked about challenges. But the one challenge that I see is expertise. I don't think there are a lot of innovative leaders in PropTech where they have tried and done that. And that's now, it brings us to the situation where now we are in a kind of trial and error mode, where we're now trying to see what works and what does not work. And one challenge that I see that is actually hindering us is the lack of a clear guideline of how we can actually make the shift, make the digital transformation, so that we can know this is what works. If you want to obtain, if our value chain in our real estate farm is this way, then this is what we need to implement, and this is how we can go about innovating and be able to success in the industry. Well, yeah, I think that's my point on that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jeremy. You raised some very, very relevant points. I think the human factor is a key one, and comes back to what Rose said. I think people, obviously, if there's something new, there's a job you've done for many years, or there's an industry you've worked in for many years, when a sort of completely new way of doing things comes along, I think your first reaction is to resist and feel perhaps a bit threatened, which is completely natural. So I think PropTech companies and enthusiasts need to be aware of, obviously, how they deliver this and speak to people. And I think a big thing about the conversation and awareness is actually highlighting that, like you said, it's a collaborative approach, and it's an enabler instead of something that perhaps kills jobs. Because I think at the end of the day, to be honest, that's what people that's what they worry about, I think, as people working in this industry. But it really is an enabler, and it can open up opportunities were never there before, and it gives people access, I think, which is exciting for me, especially in the region. It gives people access to real estate from perhaps sort of a gig economy examples of people becoming active in delivering services and perhaps in real estate agency, and also on the other side of investment, it can open up real estate as an asset class to people in a lot of ways, and has impacts for affordable housing. So those are key points, but sorry, I'm getting carried away as well. Those are a few areas and we'll come back to, but very exciting. And thank you, Jevon. You make some excellent points. Alvin, are you with us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent.
Hear you, Sean.
Would you like me to repeat the question, or are you happy to go ahead?
Yeah, actually, the real estate industry, the sector in East Africa, there's quite a lot of massive opportunities that are emanating, especially with the redefinition of real estate and PropTech during this COVID and post-COVID-19 pandemic era. And what I'm actually seeing the opportunities coming from, there are massive opportunities that are emanating from property listing and property views, especially when it comes to video content. Most of what we have in the market for property listing and with the limitations on movement is actually a wake-up call for PropTech companies and PropTech startups and investors who would want to invest in the sector in East Africa to be able to reap the benefits. Mm-hmm. And another thing, what I'm seeing is that the challenges, as much as challenges are there here, and we actually surmount them, is that when it comes to we actually need to now have the investment propagated, because there's a lot of focus on e-commerce, and e-commerce has actually overtaken PropTech, and even the innovators. We need to continue to build the capacity of the innovators, much that they can be able to attract investment and actually gain exposure from the international arena, and and propagate the growth of the sector in East Africa.
Fantastic, excellent points there, Alvin. And I think investment is a key point that features in any sort of a sector or industry, especially when there's new products or services coming about. Obviously, these sort of flexible and nimble PropTech companies, they need that sort of seed funding, that crucial fuel to keep the operation going. And I think it links to what Jevon said about, there's perhaps a bit of a lack of guidelines about how PropTech, operates and how it can be implemented, etc., from within the industry, because it's still a relatively unknown, or perhaps a bit wary of the way things are changing and what that could mean for the industry and perhaps for their jobs themselves. So I think the PropTech associations and the general community has a lot to do for raising awareness, which can directly link to obviously increased investment. So that's where I think the real estate industry and the PropTech sector, they need to communicate. And for that to happen, you need the associations, which is very important. So that's another key point I think we need to highlight. Because there's, exactly as you say, another point is that there is competition for this investment. And there's a lot of, obviously, e-commerce, like you say, there's a lot of exciting activity. And also fintech, particularly in the region, there's a lot of success stories when it comes to fintech. So obviously, those are valid and exciting industries, and they're attracting investment for reasons. But it's also important to put PropTech on the map in the way that we can. And a good way is obviously like this, having conversations on platforms such as this and keeping those going within your networks, etc. And it's something we try to do with PropTech Africa as well, trying to keep that conversation going, give the awareness. But fantastic points. Then you also mentioned some key areas of opportunity, which actually brings us to my next question, which I'd like to put to Ronald and Jevon, which is, let's sort of look at more specifics in terms of the activity we're seeing. So Ronald, maybe if you'll take the question first, I wanted to ask, what types of PropTech activity are you witnessing in the region? And have you witnessed any specific examples of companies that are delivering some exciting innovation? So in terms of your specifics, and it might be opportunities or things you're seeing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like to segment these opportunities into the different classes or the different segments. For example, when I look at PropTech or at the property sector in general, I encompass the whole value chain from construction to delivering the end product to the client or to the customer. What happens is that we see innovations coming up in all the value chain. And to start with the construction, for example, I see modular construction has been there for quite some time. And any innovation in modular construction coming up is, we can generally say it's PropTech, but there are modular constructions coming up with unique selling points and unique selling positions in this. So in construction, I can say I see this field going up. For example, in construction materials, we know there's a startup called Wazi Recycle that manufactures ceramic tiles out of plastic. It makes tiles out of plastic. So this is a fantastic innovation, and it's catching up on the local market. I was in touch with one of the founders to see that we managed to scale up this on the Ugandan market and beyond. So for me, in construction area, I see construction materials utilizing existing resources to make sure that we come up with viable products. Then to go back to the PropTech side, whereby after constructing, what happens when you have the product? I'm seeing there's still a gap with regard to real estate finance and investment, and this is due to, I think, also it starts from the existing regulation, or first of all, there's no regulation for this, and then there's still, I can say honestly, there's still kind of lack of trust when it comes to setting up a platform for real estate investment or financing. This is where we look forward to working with other stakeholders to make sure that this trust is built. And now we have some concept papers coming up to see that there are products in this area. Also, just to finalize, I see other products are more on the agency side, real estate marketing and agency. This has been there for some time. We have had marketing platforms for quite some time, but now we are seeing innovations and applications for marketing coming up with unique selling points, unique selling positions, whereby, for example, there is Quakeaway, there is Smart Broker. These are coming up to make sure that they really change the way agencies have been conducted from a rather an open platform where you just list properties to setting up a dashboard for a broker where he manages his taxation, his financials, and so on.
Excellent. Thank you, Ron. You have some fantastic examples there. And I really like that you highlighted the construction side of the story, because obviously Proptech is part of wider innovation, and innovation in construction is closely linked in a lot of ways. And obviously it normally precedes, it's in the development stage, and then Proptech focuses on the sales and the letting and obviously the management. But there's a lot of exciting things happening in Contech, which is what you'd call it. Everyone loves a buzzword, obviously. But like you say, materials are exciting, construction methods are really exciting. So it's something also for property professionals, I think, to be aware of in how those things are changing, because it does have an impact on the end product. And at the end of the day, you've got to understand, the investors and the developers, where they're coming from as well. And in terms of the finance and investments, that's exactly the topic I touched on earlier, and you make a very valid point that access to finance and that investment is quite difficult for a lot of ways. Obviously, property is quite a capital-intensive, project from a developer's perspective, and also as an investor, it's difficult to access. You might have listed property, which obviously can give you exposure as an investor, but to get actual direct exposure is difficult. And there's a lot of innovation around crowdfunding that's quite exciting. And like you rightly say, the regulatory environment, there's things in place obviously for a reason, because the trust and the transparency is crucial, like you said. So that needs to be in place, because even in South Africa, there's limited or non-existent crowdfunding investments or fundraising for the industry, and that is because the regulatory environment is yet to sort of set up the framework for that to happen. And I think that's an area where I think East Africa could be ahead of a lot of its peers in terms of what we see with mobile payments and use of blockchain technology coming in. So that's very exciting on my end. So thanks for raising that. Jevon, over to you on that. Have you seen some exciting activity?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've seen a lot of activity happening in our region. In terms of the agency side, like what my brother Ronald was saying, we're now seeing people now adopting a lot of virtual tours, which wasn't there as before. Now due to the coronavirus, now it is and the social distancing and the lockdown. So people have had to rethink the strategies, their selling points, and now people are now adopting virtual tours, virtual reality, which is something that is there right now. But one thing that really excites me is the smart real estate part, especially the smart applications is what I've been witnessing, and that's the activity that actually excited me most, because we're now seeing when I met with these, just forgotten the name, the startup that innovated with smart applications. The selling point was that see, now with COVID has brought about a lot of uncertainty in the economy. So now companies have shifted their mindset into conserving cash flow. So there is a lot of emphasis in conserving cash flow. So one selling point that these companies, smart applications that are actually selling to their customers, to these companies, that they are now saving their operating costs, which now is something that is crucial at this time and moment, where now you're seeing that companies want to save cash flow, so they want to reduce their operating costs. They want to reduce any cost that will actually remove away cash flow from their company. So that's the one thing that really excites me in terms of PropTech activities is the smart real estate side. And also another thing is the steps that our country has made in digitizing the land registry. And yeah, and that's, like I say, that's now setting the infrastructure for the private sector to now innovate, use that data that now has been made available, has been made transparent, has been made accessible to each and everyone, to now innovate without data to come up with much more informed, accurate, reliable services. Yeah, that's what I'll say for that.
Fantastic, thank you, Jevon. Yeah, very good point. Obviously, on like what's been raised a few times on the broking agency side in terms of virtual viewings and platforms and to enable sellings and sales and lettings to take place. That across the board, that's always a very active category of PropTech, along with management, like you said as well, linked to smart buildings, perhaps remote management and new ways of measuring and controlling buildings, a lot of the times remotely as well. But yeah, a key one again is the land registry and the digitization of land registries, which I have a specific question, which we'll definitely come back to. But it is very exciting as a platform to enable different types of transactions. And you've mentioned data, which is basically the lifeblood of a lot of technology products and services. So that really is a game changer. And I must say, East Africa seems to be making great strides in that. In my research, I've seen that Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda have been making meaningful steps to put together land information systems or the digitization of land registries. I know CISO Global is doing some great work on the continent in that terms as well, and we're seeing some great homegrown East Africa activity. So thanks a lot. I think for both of you, that's a great sort of taste of the types of activity we're seeing, which is really exciting, and it's relevant at the end of the day, because we've had a comment here from Jonathan Yach that PropTech always needs to be sustainable, relevant, scalable, and have a clear commercialization element, which is four very important topics. So what you mentioned there, you can see why they're successful. They're helping people to reduce costs or reach a wider market, and probably offer their services in a more efficient, sort of accessible way. So thank you for that. Let's move on to our next question. This will be for Rose and Alvin. It's often said that a successful company needs to provide a solution for a specific problem. So I wanted to ask you both, what specific challenges do you see in East African real estate markets that PropTech is solving? So either currently or in the future. Rose, if you'd like to start us on that one.
Okay. Thank you. I lost network somewhere, but I'm happy that I was represented very well with Ronald and Jevon, especially for virtual walkthroughs, because I have actually experienced the virtual walkthrough. So the types of, is it the types of problems that we're seeing being
solved? Yeah,
or the specific challenges?
Yeah,
okay. So so one of them is the automation of the back office operations. I think we can see that there is so much collection of data that is being done by agents, by clients, and we're seeing that companies are now using the simple CRM systems or customer relation management and property management tools, which can assist them in automating and portfolio management. So that enables them to address the challenges such as cost effectivity, efficiency, and also communications between different stakeholders. And in relation to now the collection of more data, being that we are very focused on business analytics and picking out trends for consumer behavior, we see that there is a lot of data science that is being deployed, capacity building that is being done by real estate and PropTech enablers. And in this, they're using technology so that it assists them to make decisions which like for properties to invest, differentiating from the traditional four-wall houses, smart home solutions. And so these are those type of the challenges that have been there, but are already being solved by some of these elements or some of these activities that we can see now.
Excellent. Thank you, Rose. Those are some very, it's important, I think, with the Proptech conversation, there's a lot of interesting general conversations that can be had. So I always think it's important to drill down into the specifics. And like you said, the back office, there's like the mechanics, you know, the day-to-day things. There's actually solutions coming in that are, you know, offering practical solutions to day-to-day tasks and challenges that people may be having. So I think that's very important to highlight, because also people tend to get attracted to the sort of the big things like blockchain, or, you know, the big exciting terms that have all the bells and whistles, which obviously have a place, but at the same time, there's a lot of on the ground meaningful innovation that can take place from a day-to-day basis. And this is technology that people don't need to be wary of. You know, it's something you can embrace, and it's something you can understand in terms of doing your everyday job in a more efficient way. So thanks very much for that. Moving on to Alvin, would you like to share your comments on that?
Yes, Sean. What I actually foresee when you look at the success of businesses, of real estate companies, that is developers, finance, the financial institutions, and the agents and the brokers, is that as Rose has just highlighted, there is big data that is actually which is a big opportunity, and there is if the data can be harnessed so that the data can be commoditized, we would be able to also have more of aggregated and collated data that will be able to actually facilitate leases. Because you find that when it gets to the lease process, especially in the COVID and post-COVID era, you'll find that there's a downscaling of property from bigger units to smaller units, because the financials and the foreseeables are quite so there's quite a lot that we as Tempest Gold, because we are looking at we have come up with a product. It's called Mrs. P, and Mrs. P, actually we collect the data from the moment somebody makes an inquiry of a rental or of a lease. And if you can capture that data and actually have a central warehouse, possibly on cloud storage, much that we can also be able to derive information for, as the fintechs are doing from M-Pesa. That means that those are massive opportunities, and there's great successful implementation of Proptech solutions, especially when it comes to even the visitor management, because you find that with visitor management is still now coming under Proptech. There's a redefinition of entries onto properties. And with the redefinition of entry onto properties and onto facilities and the facilities management aspect of it, you find that the visitor management solutions companies, there is one entity that is called Coyote that is actually with a visitor management solution, and with such kind of maneuvers, interventions that are actually going to impact the workplace, because we find that the workplace guidelines have just been they're still in propagation, and what has been issued is that the normal shift of the workplace and movement and access to facilities has not come back to the norm. So there is when you I'm actually with Proptech we actually are now going to redefine the future, And with the successful companies adopting to Proptech, that means that even the data, the big data that has not been adequately utilized and has only been working behavior and trying to find out analytics. It's a matter of just now commoditizing the data, but that financial benefit and actually relief can be propagated out of it.
Fantastic. Excellent points, Alvin. Thank you. And particularly on the data, I completely agree. I think it's something that's linked to big data. There's all sorts of opportunities and how you collect data, how you manage it, and how you use it to get additional insights. And that's, like you said, is across the value chain from the sales process, obviously when there's initial interactions and tracking leads, etc. And then when you move to the actual lease, I think from a property management perspective, there's ways that you could actually record and hold that data that gives you all sorts of interesting insights. Like an example in South Africa is a rental housing platform called HouseMe. They actually offer a deposit-free product to renters based on basically their measurements. So they've obviously got a history of transactions and rentals and data that they've recorded. So they can interpret that data, and based on where you're going to rent your property, perhaps your age and your job, etc., the sector you work in, they can actually estimate quite accurately the risk that you would default. So they'll offer you a rent-free deposit, and in the case that the tenant does default, the company themselves will cover the landlord for that. So that's just an example. And I think the property industry, like you say, has a long way to go, I think, to embracing data and how they use it, how they collect it, because it is there a lot of the times, especially in property management, or like you said, with the sales process. It's perhaps just it's used like for one purpose and then it's kind of filed away. But if you keep all this data and manage it in a way, it can give you really interesting insights, and products can be built off of that. Also with, like you said, an actual building, in terms of managing the building, monitoring a variety of things such as access, perhaps movement around the building as possible, and then obviously the key fundamentals like utilities, usage, etc. Also linked to climate change, like Ronald mentioned earlier. So data is a big one, and I think it's something that the property industry has used in a very specific way in the past, but it has a long way to go. So I completely agree with you there. So thank you for sharing those insights. Just keeping an eye on time, so we have about 10 minutes left. So I do have two questions, but we might just get to the one, which is something I'm quite interested to bring up and to get your insights on. We've touched on it a few times, but basically it's around deeds registries and digitizing those. So I think I'll ask you all for some input here. If you wouldn't mind keeping it a little bit brief, just because of the time we have, but we'll obviously accommodate you as much as we can. So the question is, there's a lot of exciting work happening around digital deeds registries, or land information systems, as they can be known, taking place across the region. So I wanted to ask, what do you think this innovation means for wider real estate markets? And importantly, how can Proptech players leverage off of these systems to develop new products and services? So perhaps, Jevon, you did touch on this earlier. So if you'd like to start us off with your comments, please.
Yeah, thank you. Well, what does it mean for the real estate sector? Well, I think this is just like laying the foundation, like I just have been saying, laying the foundation for Proptech to actually now thrive, because now you're making information accessible, making information available for the whole wide community space in the sector, and also you are, in a way, since now the data is being made available, it kind of kills the asymmetrical informational flow of our industry, because our industry has been dominated by asymmetrical flow information. Like, information is not being flown in a symmetrical way, where now few people are actually holding information, and now if these deed registries are now being digitized and being made available, we now see how the information is being now there's easy flow, and also how can Proptech players collaborate? I think is in terms of collaboration. Per se, collaboration. Just last week, I saw House Africa. House Africa is a blockchain startup. They had partnered with House Africa is from Nigeria, a blockchain startup that had partnered with the Nigerian mortgage refinancing company. And now we see now how this collaboration is now coming together, and that's what this did. Digitizing this deed registries will come a great deal. And also, if maybe I cannot, maybe if just one last thing, I found out that there are actually countries who have actually taken the leap of digital transformation in terms of the registries. I found that Mauritius, Rwanda, and Togo actually have taken that leap, and I want to actually say maybe we can look at how we can borrow from this company, because first of all, I don't think Togo can actually make a country like Togo has made that leap. But when I saw data from the World Bank, I was like, okay. And we see now Kenya, Uganda, we are actually number 24. We actually haven't, in terms of the ease of doing business, we are ranked 24, in terms of registering of property, and that's where now the deed registry is now coming into play.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jevon. You make some very key points there. I think the collaboration is important, and House Africa and the mortgage finance company in Nigeria is an interesting example, because I think it does take traditional players, organizations. It does take collaboration with the Proptechs or the new way of doing things to really implement things. Because if Proptechs are operating completely in isolation, there's only so far they could go, especially in terms of land registries like this and new data. And like you said, just my comment is I think there's a whole range of benefits. Obviously, the sales tenure process can be more efficient, which helps property markets in general. And then Proptechs themselves can lock into data and offer new types of analytics or new products based on sales and letting and the overall property market as well, which is really exciting. Because that all-important transparency and efficiency is crucial to kind of get the gears of the real estate market moving better and opening opportunities. So thank you, Jevon. Ronald, if we could move to you now, and if you could please maybe share some comments on that.
Yes, just as my brother Jevon said, I think this is providing a platform where many PropTech innovators can build on. For example, I know that this system it's going to build a way of I call it the digital convergency, whereby if the APIs of these digital land registers are provided, I'm sure many innovators are going to have this and develop on more applications. Because what I know is that the centralized system of land titles that are digital it's trusted. First of all, it's taking away the government bureaucracy as initial, and it's eliminating also the errors that would have been caused. So for me, I look at it as a platform for PropTech innovators to build on, provided these APIs are provided, and we see it as the sky is the limit for it.
Fantastic.
As per now, the challenge is these are not yet in place, but I foresee them being provided, and I foresee the public having access to these APIs for digital transactions. So.
Excellent. That's a great point, because those APIs, it's something, to be honest, I'm not from a tech background, so it's something I've learned about fairly recently, but basically that allows systems to talk to each other. And like you said, it could allow a PropTech platform to interact with a deed registry, which would be fantastic, because at the end of the day, it is publicly available data, but it's difficult to access, obviously, in its current form when it's manual. So that is key, and it could, this, like you say, the sky's the limit, because there's all sorts of technology out there, blockchain, artificial intelligence. So if you could plug this, if you could plug into this, would be really interesting. So thank you for that. It's probably a whole other topic on its own, but obviously I think
it is a very big
but
topic.
we're obviously highlighting its importance because it's something I've been thinking about
Yeah.
a lot. We are coming to the end, but Rose, if you'd like to add some closing comments on that topic around land deed registries.
Okay, I lost some. I think they've said the majority. Okay,
sure.
I think they've said a majority of what has been or is being done, and the automation that has been happening in Kenya for the digitization of the land and company registries since the year 2013. I think there's been a very good improvement, and we have seen some of the initiatives that have focused on document disappearance and poor ministry image being phased out, and the long timelines of service delivery. So Proptech has come to actually revive the stalled automation programs, and it has assisted so much with the challenges of torn and missing land records and issuing capacity building and poor working environment. So I think there are proper mechanisms that still need to be put in place, especially for security, but also the ease of use and the capacity that they have already invested in is very, very important. And I recommend or commend them on that.
Excellent. Thank you. Those very important points there, Rose. And like you say, there's a lot of benefit that can cap to improving, I think, efficiency and also service delivery, because there's obviously been a benefit for the public sector as well in terms of how they manage things and can offer services to the industry. So we are coming to the end of our time, but we do have 2 questions that have come in. So if we could just quickly address those. So I think I'll choose one of you to answer each of them, if that's okay. And if we could just keep it brief. So we had a question from Diana, who is an estate agent in Kenya. And she said she's been approached by many tech companies, obviously, regarding their services and their products. So she just asked if we could address the high fees that tech companies or Proptechs tend to or can charge in some instances, and the sustainability of the solutions that they offer. So Alvin, I'm not sure if you have a few comments on that in terms of fees and sustainability of Proptech products.
From the question, what I would elaborate is that it's a matter of identifying the capabilities also, and if you're, as Diana has just highlighted, possibly as a real estate agent, and when it comes to the developer costs, it's a matter of identifying with an all-in-one solution that actually can be able to properly, beginning from the listing to the lead generation and the follow-up of the leads, and you'll find that there are entities that are within the territory that have already the solution. When it comes to customization, is where you find that the cost structure goes on the higher scale. But if you're using an integrated all-in-one solution, we have actually very good and dedicated and innovative developers in the market who are propagating Proptech, and given the opportunity, because it's just a matter of I think Jivans, I would propose, and also Ronald, we also with an information center where the inspired and the dedicated the Proptech developers can be able to be sourced, other than going onto big entities who actually are doing custom.
Excellent, thank you, Alvin. That's
solutions.
very key points there, I think, is to understand obviously what products you need. So what processes or what issue or what problem are you facing that you're looking for a solution? And if you can get one that obviously covers a whole range of products and functionality within the type of business you're doing. That's the key thing. And then on the fees, obviously, it's new products. So like you said, fees can tend to be high, but that's also a relative thing. So, how much do you pay for a Microsoft Office product versus other things? Those are established tools that we use. So obviously when things first enter market, pricing is a difficult one. But I think if you need to do your research, obviously, and speak to a lot of people within your industry as well and see what they're using, and also speak to other tech people. And this is where the Proptech associations come in as well. I think they have a role to play in educating and shedding light on different things related to this, like what types of products are there, and then perhaps assist consumers, obviously within their capacity. So we are over time, but just lastly, this is an interesting question. So I think, Ronald, if I could put this to you to close us off. David asked, do you look towards Proptech solutions in other markets for inspiration in East Africa? And which startups focused elsewhere do you think would add significant value in East Africa? So I think this is an important thing. Often I'm a big sort of supporter of local solutions for local problems, or African solutions for African problems. So I think homegrown is obviously very good, but at the same time, it's important to look at the wider community globally and other regions, I think, for inspiration. So that, my view, I think it does have a place, but also copy paste doesn't always work. But
yes, exactly.
Yeah, sorry to take away, but Ronald, if your comments on that, please.
Hello?
Yes, sorry. Are you still there?
Yes, just to add on what you said, I think, it's better to have homegrown solutions. I've seen a lot of Proptech, a lot of startups globally in Europe, in the US. I've been here for some time and I've worked with these startups. But still, it comes back to its applicability, scalability in Africa. For example, the startup called Urban Analytics. Do we have this data when it comes to urban sectors? Do we collect such data? So its applicability in Africa wouldn't be, I cannot say it wouldn't be applied, but how is it matching with the local challenges we have in Africa? So really, on the global scale, there are solutions, but then we need to go down to African challenges, getting African solutions for African challenges.
Excellent. Thank you, Ronald. Yeah, I think it's a new and exciting space, so always good to draw on inspiration, I think, from other markets. And some products might have a place here, but at the same time, I think support local talents and developers, especially in a region like East Africa, where, like Alvin said, there's some amazing developers and tech professionals that can put a variety of things together. So I think it's also for the real estate industry to reach out to those people and give them a chance. Perhaps it'd be great to see more Proptech incubators and accelerators, and also more local investments in these Proptech companies. So yes, we have a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of exciting individuals and companies to work with, and a lot of exciting commentators such as yourselves that are shedding light on this very exciting part of the real estate industry. So with that, I think we need to close the session. We've come to the end of our time. I'd just like to thank you all, Rose, Ronald, Jevon, and Alvin. You've offered some really valuable insights, and I thank you for taking the time and for having me to moderate you. It's been a real pleasure. So yeah, I wish you all a great evening. And to everyone watching, obviously, please remember to tune in tomorrow when the conference will continue. So thank you, and goodbye from all of us. And thank you again to our panelists. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah. So we leave.
Right.
Yeah,
So.
leave.